Hi everyone. Hello. Hey, so happy to see you all here today. Thanks for joining, and I hope you're having a great week so far. How's it going? Can you hear us? Please type in the chat so we know that everything is okay. Can you guys hear us? Nobody's typing in the chat because.
I can hear you, Coraline. I'm pretty sure other
Yeah,
people can. Yeah.
we can
All
hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you very how's it going? Are you already getting ready for Christmas, New Year? Are you having this mood, Christmas mood? Have you put up your Christmas tree already? Decorated? How about you, Vlad?
yeah. I have a Christmas tree downstairs with a bunch of lights on. It's very Christmassy, but I'm in Mexico, so it's quite warm out here. I think it's like the coldest it gets is like 30 degrees Celsius or something like that. But the vibe inside the house is very Christmassy. So,
That's cool.
what about you, Coraline?
Unfortunately, I haven't decorated the Christmas tree yet, but I
Yeah.
just can't find the time. Yeah, but hopefully I'll take care of it this weekend. Okay, I think we can get started. It
Cool.
honestly, guys, it feels like it's been okay. Here, one note taker is asking to be admitted. Yeah, actually, it's been a while since we had a session like this. Too many like random copies, profile rostering. So then today we're having back this session with Vlad. So before we jump into the Q&A AMA session, let me just let me just give you a little heads up. So today you'll have the chance to ask literally about anything, like how to convert replies into calls, how to close bigger deals, how to handle objections in the calls, and how to position yourself better, and everything you'd like to ask about. So nothing's on the tape is off the table. It is like it's a fully open ask me anything session. So here how it will go. You can just drop your questions as usual in the chat, and then first we'll be reviewing those questions that preliminarily submitted, and then we'll go to the questions in the chat. So I think that's it from my side. And yeah, Vlad, as I have previously mentioned, it would be great if you could read each of those questions out loud, because since the questions aren't visible in the recording. Yeah.
All right. Sure thing. Cool. Yeah, guys, thank you for joining. It's great to have all of you here. So yeah, I'll answer the questions. We have like 4 questions that you guys asked beforehand, and then hopefully, as the conversation goes on, you guys have more questions. Maybe we can keep it like a sales focus, but anything goes. Ask me anything. So we can talk about Upwork. We can talk about other platforms. Yeah, literally whatever you guys want to know. So cool. Just a bit of an intro. I'm not sure if everyone here knows me. My background is sales. I've been in sales since the very beginning of my career. And I started the sales team for GigRater back in 2023, like early 2023, as a reseller. Yeah, and we closed a bunch of deals. I think it was like $800,000 in revenue for GigRater. And yeah, since then I've been doing sales consulting after that venture kind of ended and essentially got converted into me being part of GigRater without being a reseller. Essentially, it was a bit of an exit, so it was very, very cool venture. But I've been doing some sales consulting for just greater Upwork agencies and setting up lead gen systems for people that are not yet on Upwork. So just setting up Upwork as a platform, fully optimized, and then setting up the gig rate or lead generation systems that actually convert. And then when people start getting more leads than they know what to do with, I've been doing sales consulting. So try to keep it sales related, but the questions here I think are Upwork related. So the first question is Herman. And I see you're here. So cool. You asked, does it make sense to bid over to be at the top, or does it not make sense when already 50 applications? So yeah, if you're looking at a job that's a perfect fit, maybe a grader missed it, like the scanner didn't actually apply to it, right? Because I mean, the grader normally applies within 15 minutes, so you wouldn't necessarily have that problem of 50 applications. Um, already having been submitted, then yeah, I would say boost the proposal, like be, in the top few spots so that it's actually visible. But the way the Upwork algorithm works is it's not necessarily the order at which you apply. Upwork shows the top profiles that are the best match for the job. So in order to be the best match for the job, what you want to have is a few things. I think you may have joined sessions with Tamara. I think she can kind of share like the best info on that. But really, it's the skills that are relevant to the job that you're applying on. Definitely all of the skills that the client mentions in the job, but also just skills related to the niche. Like let's say it's e-commerce development. There's like 15 skills that you want to have to be, in the best match range. So having the skills, but most importantly, the recent jobs that you've completed, if they have similar keywords to the job that you're bidding on, then you're going to be near the top, even if you bid the next day, right? So it's not in the order of application that you show up top to bottom. So you don't necessarily have to boost, but if it's a perfect fit, why not spend, double to triple the amount of connects just to make sure that you're at the top? I would do that. Yeah, but again, not the only thing that plays a role. So I hope that answers your question. Um, I guess just to expand on that, whenever you see a job that your gig grader didn't bid on, right? Um, what I would recommend is fine tune your scanner so that the next time a job like that goes live, grader does actually catch it and bids on it within 15 minutes. So what you can do is you can just check like maybe there's a stop word in your scanner, right? That disqualified this job. Maybe it's some client criteria, etc. So you can just adjust that parameter and check within the scanner to make sure that job now shows up. So next time a job like that goes live, your automation will apply for that. Cool. So I hope that makes sense. Sweet. So let's go to the second question by, I can't say the first name. I'll try. Bagyalazami, Bagyalazmi, Panda. So the question is, as I'm handling multiple developers' profiles, so how should I maintain consistency to bring on the projects on each profile, each and every profile? Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, you can approach it in a few different ways. I'm not sure how big your agency is. If you're on the call, maybe you can just um, post like how many profiles you have in the agency and like how many jobs you're bidding on. So there are a few strategies to go about it. I would say the most popular strategy is to bid using the founder's profile. As long as you have the technical expertise, maybe you just, serve as the project manager, but you can just bid using your profile and then put the jobs through using your profile so that all the jobs go, to you and all the earnings and everything. You just keep improving your profile because the developers can be working behind the scenes. You don't necessarily have to put the projects through their profile. Might as well just build up yours. But if you want to build up theirs, um, you can set it up in a few different ways. Let's say you have like four different developers. You can just bid using certain keywords with one developer's profile, right? So for example, if you have like Shopify development, you bid with one profile. For the other one, if you do WordPress development, you exclude the word Shopify and you build on WordPress using the other developer. And then this Third one, maybe it's like WooCommerce. You exclude Shopify and WordPress and you bid on WooCommerce, right? To avoid bidding on the same profile, on the same jobs from multiple profiles. In my opinion, that adds too much complexity. And in that way, you would also rely on the developers to take sales calls. Generally, sales is the biggest bottleneck for agencies. So I would definitely not outsource the actual sale aspect of, closing the job to a developer. So in my personal opinion, the best way is just to bid using your profile, put all the jobs that through that way, and yeah, the developers can just do the job behind the scenes, and you're a member of the agency, right? You're probably the founder of the agency, so that's fine. You're not breaking any, terms of services by doing that. But yeah, maybe if you want to like elaborate in the chat for your situation, so I can kind of explain it with a little bit more context, that'd be great. But yeah, otherwise, let's move on to Tyler. Tyler's question here. So Tyler said, "How can I choose the best portfolio project to show?" Cool. Quick question. So, do people, everyone here is a member of GeekRater or no, Corlin, or people here like just in the free subscription?
50-50.
50-50. Okay, cool. So if you're a gig rater, then you'll be bidding on jobs, and I mean, best portfolio will not be shown. Gig rater can interpret the your portfolio cases of the specialized profile that you're showing to answer the questions, but it won't actually attach the portfolio case. Um, the most relevant portfolio case. And in my experience, it doesn't matter too much whether you attach a portfolio case or not attach a portfolio case, because people can always go and, see how qualified you are themselves. But if you're bidding manually, how do you select the best portfolio case? So, I mean, how many do you have? Let's say you have 10 and you're bidding on like, let's use the Shopify example again. You're bidding on like a Shopify liquid development project that approximately costs like 5K. In that case, just pick the best Shopify liquid developments from your portfolio, where ideally it's even bigger than the one you're bidding on. Maybe it was like 20K budget. You just absolutely killed it with like this super high-end store. And yeah, attach that one. Always aim to show your best work for the most relevant niche, right? That's what I would say. Um, but really, what we're trying to optimize for, I would say when you are bidding on a project or what you should be trying to optimize for is just to get a response. You don't want to create an objection before you're even in a conversation with the client. So if you attach a project that is like a good fit but not a perfect fit, the client looks over it, they're like, okay, like this guy's good but not perfect, so I'm not going to respond. I would say don't attach anything. It just sends a very short proposal that's very easy to answer yes to. It's like, hey, I've done many very similar projects. I've, always crushed it. I think, I think I could help you um, achieve X, right? Whatever you can do, like a prompt with AI or literally just a template. I've done many similar projects over like 7 years of experience. Let's hop on a call. I have a few questions about yours. That's it. And then open for a chat. That kind of proposal we've seen consistently since like the launch of GetGrader does the best because it's just easy to answer yes to. But if you send a long cover letter and you send a portfolio case, you're just adding um, barriers uh, for between the client reading the actual proposal and answering yes, right? You're adding a lot of work, and then people don't really have too much attention spent. Maybe the client will decide to come back and respond later, but then the clients will see some other proposal that's very short and sweet, right? And just respond to that. So I would say don't worry about giving the best portfolio project to show. You're not yet in a sale. You're just optimizing for getting a response. Best way to get a response is send a very quick proposal. All right. Now we have a question from Ahmad. Yeah. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for acknowledging that. Now we have a question from Ahmad. What's your go-to method for handling price objections on Upwork, especially when the client says someone else is cheaper? Yeah, great question, Ahmad. Are you on the call? Cool. But I think, yeah, this question is relevant to everyone. So, if you're having a price comparison objection and when the client says someone else is cheaper, then what that tells me is you haven't built enough value in your service. We're not comparing apples to apples, right? It's not like It's not like you're selling a pen and the other freelancer has an identical pen. Like, oh, this one's $3, this one's $2. Of course, I'm gonna buy a $2 pen. It's the exact same thing. But when you're talking about a service that you're gonna offer, there is a gazillion ways that you can differentiate yourself. And the only way the price will matter in the discussion is if you haven't built enough value, right, to where the price doesn't matter. So, I mean, think about it this way. If you're like building a house and someone says, oh, it'll be $50,000 to build this house, and the other person says it'll be $30,000, are you going to ask questions? Like, so what, what are you going to do with this $50,000 house? Like, what's your expertise? Like, what can you accomplish? Like this, and you explain, this is what's important to me. Maybe you want some like cool design. Maybe you want like soundproofing. Maybe you want to make sure that if um, um, hurricane hits, if you live in Mexico like me, that the house is going to be fine, right? And then if the person builds up enough value in the $50,000 house, once the value to price equation kind of exceeds, like once I understand that, hey, this is worth a lot more than 50K, I'll obviously pick that person. Whereas the 30K one is just going to build, a house that everyone else here has, and it's not good, right? I'm not going to buy that. So before you even get into the price discussion, you should be 100% certain that you have built so much value in yourself that the price will not matter. And how can you build value in yourself? Well, you got to ask the client questions. What is important to them? Most freelancers and agencies, the way they do sales calls on Upwork is they just say hi, then they do some cringy ice breaking. Oh, so where are you based, right? And then you talk about where they're based for 5 minutes, and then the client ends up taking control of the conversation and says what they need, and then the freelancer's like, oh yeah, I am good for that. I've done this and this and this in the past. That's literally that's your competition, and I hope you guys don't do that. But the reality is I think most people do, right? So so here's how I would suggest to handle the sales call so that you never even have that kind of situation. So hop on the call. You can do a quick icebreaker, like, okay, where are you based? Oh, cool, cool. Okay, excellent. So I don't want to take too much of your time. Let me do a quick introduction. My name is Ahmad, right? I handle, web development for X niche. And yeah, this project looks really good. That's why I bid on it. I want to find out more, right? And then you can just ask a question. So, by the way, why did you decide to respond? Why did you decide to meet with me, right? And then just start, let them kind of give you some context why they're meeting with you in the first place. Maybe they're meeting with you because they loved your portfolio, right? They already explored kind of what you've done before. They like what they liked your work. That's why they're meeting with you. Cool. So that means you don't really have to tell them how good of a fit you are, right? Because they already know. Okay, excellent. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So cool. I really like your project. I'd like to, kind of find out more. Just start asking questions. Get into the conversation by asking questions. So your goal should be to understand the full context of why they need what they need, what exactly it is that they need and why they need what they need, and what kind of difficulties it could be causing for them in their business to not have this done, right? How much money are they losing to not have it done the right way? What's the opportunity cost for them? Have they tried to do this before? Maybe they did it themselves. Maybe they went with a different freelancer. Um, why are they redoing it? What did the last person not do well enough, right? You need to understand the full context. If you understand the full context, that will give you the ammunition to then kind of fill that gap and explain, okay, cool. So now that I know the context, you just recap everything. So you need this because this, and that, right? I think I can help, right? Because, I've done this before. And then you close. If you just understand the full concept, the full context of what they need, you ask the right question, then they feel heard, right? If they feel heard, they're like, okay, this person knows, what I need, they'll go with you because most people just try to sell themselves without asking the right questions. So, yeah, and I think that's the best way to like not even have that pricing objection. Now, cool. If you've done everything right and your budget, what you're trying to charge is still too high. Let's say you want to do it for a 10K and the other person wants to do it for 5K, but maybe it's just like too much for them to pay the 10K upfront. So the standard way on Upwork is to do 50% upfront, 50% upon delivery of the project. I think that's fine, but I also think it's good to kind of differentiate yourself a little bit and not do what everyone else does. What I've seen work really well is you can break the entire project into weekly milestones. So if it's a 10K project that takes, 8 weeks to complete, then you just break that down 10K divided by 8, whatever that is, like 1200 or so, right? Per week. So they just pay 1200, 1200, 1200, 1200. So you can set that up on Upwork, a weekly retainer. Or you don't have to do weekly retainer. You can just charge, let's say, 12, if you're doing 100 per hour, you can just every week charge 12 hours, right? For $1,200 and just do weekly. That takes a lot of that objection away because yeah, it's way easier for people to pay, that amount per week instead of the, 50% upfront, 50% upon delivery. Um, Cool. And then the other way is just to start with a small milestone. Like, hey, I totally understand, it's a big commitment. It's difficult to want to commit to that, before I've done anything for you. So how about this? Let's start with an audit, right? What I'll do is I'll deliver the audit for your current situation. I'll map out the roadmap, how we can get to your goal, right? I'll do everything step by step. The audit is usually part of the work, but I'll do it for $1,000. And then later on, you can take that audit and then, you can do it yourself because you already have the roadmap. You can go to a cheaper freelancer. But because I've done this kind of work before, I know exactly how to get you to where you want to be, right? How to help you accomplish that goal. And yeah, and then you decide. So you close them on the smaller milestone first, that audit, right? And then you're giving them options. So if they go with you, then you'll essentially discount that audit or you'll credit that audit price for the overall price of the project. If they choose to do it themselves, cool. Now you have the roadmap. If they choose to go with a cheaper freelancer, that's fine. But you just over deliver on that audit. Do like, if you charge 1K for that, make sure you deliver $2,000 worth of value there because the second sale is always easier than the first sale. Once you've led with value, more value than they perceive. They perceive that they received more value than they've paid for. Now you can make the second sale super easy. So that's the other way of doing that. So I would say try to close like this. First, you just try to collect the entire 10K up front. It's always good to anchor high. If they don't have any price objection for that, just go for it, right? Then next time charge more to a client like this. If they really object to that, then break it down into weekly. And then if they object to that, then just do the milestone. And then afterwards, you kind of continue the sale, right? Maybe you can break the rest down into weekly. Maybe you can take 50/50, whatever it may be. So just have a few like tools in your arsenal for how to convert clients. But again, build so much value that the price really doesn't matter. Build so much value that they've already decided to go with you, right? And then just help them make sense how they can actually make this financial commitment happen. Because financial commitments are also real, right? Not everyone has like the entire amount to pay up front. Maybe they have cash flow over a couple of months, right? That they can cover your project. So I hope that makes sense, Ahmad. Guys, that was the 4 questions that were asked before the session started. So yeah, we have some people on the call here. Just feel free to send any questions my way. Um, Ideally about sales, can be about Upwork, about the lead gen, about closing, whatever it may be. Here to answer. We still have like 35 minutes.
Great, thank you very much. And while others are getting prepared, I have one question right here. Um, what are the most, let's say, common mistakes that agencies make after receiving a positive client reply? And how can they turn those replies into actual booked calls?
Great question. So yeah, what I see is people like blow the reply by just adding too much complexity. People don't optimize for the next step. They focus on the outcome, right? Their outcome is to close the deal. So people really try to close the deal from the initial proposal, kind of like before even getting the reply. And that's how they end up not getting replies because you're just getting ahead of yourself. The same thing if they happen to receive a positive reply, now they're just like talking, hey, yes, great. Like I've done this and this and that before. I think I'm such a good fit. No one cares about that, right? People care about what you can do for them. So just like saying too much is really the problem. Like people think that yeah, pe people seem to think that the more they say, the higher the likelihood that they will close, but really less is more on Upwork. Um, so so the most common is just like giving too much information, overwhelming the client, and then the client ghosts. So the best way you can handle it is just with again with a very short reply, like, okay, um, so let's say, yeah, maybe I can read one of my messages. I recently bid on like a high ticket sales job, like a project that I don't usually take new projects on, but it seemed really interesting. So I bid on it. The client responded. So my entire proposal was, hi, your job seems like a great fit. I have all the high ticket sales experience without being too sales bro-y. Open for a chat because the guy mentioned in this job post that he doesn't want someone too sales bro-y. And then he said, hey, yeah, we should definitely chat. I'm like, awesome. Are you available now? Let me know and I'll start an instant meeting. Otherwise, please book a slot here. And then he booked a slot for the next day. We met and yeah, I closed it. So, um, yeah, the biggest mistake is just adding too much complexity. Once you receive the reply, just like now prioritize the meeting. Um, send them the slot. Cool. What you can say is excellent, Portland. I have some great ideas for your project. Let's hop on a call so we can discuss them. And yeah, and then send the meeting. If they don't respond, I have like a 5 message follow-up framework that you can utilize. Maybe I can share it in the community afterwards. But essentially, yeah, with every follow-up, you try to add a little bit of value, right? And then ask for the call. And then the last follow-up is usually kind of like the breakup message, like, hey, Patrick, just to make sure the door is closed on this project, I'll stop my follow-ups. And usually that one actually gets a good amount of responses, like, oh no, Vlad, actually, I'm still interested. Let's hop on a call. So you just need to have a framework and just optimize for the next step, the next logical step. Don't try to oversell once you've gotten a response. It's not time to sell yet.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What about our members? Do you have guys any questions? If not, I have another question. Probably this question is going to be for the freelancers that are just starting their journey on Upwork. And if you were starting like from zero today, so what would your, let's say, first 5 steps to be to land the initial paid project on Upwork?
A great question. So, that depends on whether or not I would actually have the experience. I think today, like the technology is moving so fast, a lot of people actually need to even figure out what niche to go in, because I mean, most niches can be learned pretty quick. So yeah, okay, if you don't, let's say you don't even know what niche to go with yet, like figure that, I would try to figure that part out first. Like, what are you passionate about? Maybe some people are just like naturally good copywriters, right? So maybe then you could go into like cold email or Klaviyo, right? You can learn cold email systems pretty easily. And then, once you're in it, you can kind of like innovate your own process. And I've seen someone do really well, like make over $1 million. Um, in a year on Upwork uh, after starting at $15 per hour. The first project was for $15 per hour for some cold email systems. And then in the first full year, the guy made 1 million. And now I think it's about to grow exponentially from there. So first, yeah, I would figure out what is my niche, right? Second is I would just go on Upwork, I would create a profile, I would look at the best profiles out there across different niches. Because, for example, if you go into like N8N development, you look at some of the top rated profiles. If you just search for N8N from a client profile, you'll see they're not that good, right? N8N is still relatively new, and people that are doing the best, they don't actually use all of the best Upwork practices, right, to rank high. So I'm like, okay, maybe that would be an area of opportunity. So try to look at profiles that are top rated for competitive niches. Maybe it's Shopify development, maybe it's web development. I would find patterns. What makes these profiles really stand out? Usually, there is a form of storytelling on the profile, right? So it's a bit of a balancing act. Um, you need to have all of the relevance like keywords, related queries to really rank high keyword wise, but you also need to tell a story about why you're doing what you're doing. So I just put together a profile that sells, right? Like on the general profile, I would explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. Then I would create a specialized profile. I would just make sure that I stand out from the rest because the reality is things are so easy today. Most people just create the descriptions of their profiles with AI. They use the long dashes, they use the quotation marks that are like sideways. I don't even know how to use them on the like English keyboard. So people are lazy. So I would just try to stand out. Put a profile together, even with zero earnings, it will still actually be quite a bit better than people with a ton of earnings that are just objectively lazy. Cool. And then I would, there are a couple of different options. So if you have, let's say you've done a bunch of sales and you just want some high ticket sales projects on Upwork, then you can set your hourly to whatever. It doesn't matter because hourly doesn't matter in sales. You can set it to 100. You can bid on projects, you'll get traction, you'll respond. Most of the time you convert for like commission-based projects anyways. But I think most people here are not in sales. Um, so in that case, I would start with a low hourly rate. I think a great case study is Gavin. Maybe some of you guys know Gavin. Maybe you're even here because Gavin referred you. Um, Gavin started with $20 per hour, and he was taking, and that was the Klaviyo niche, and it was already somewhat competitive, right? But Gavin had nothing on Upwork, so he started with 20 per hour, and then so projects were like break even, maybe like a small loss. But Gavin understood the vision long term that eventually Upwork starts working for you, right? And then as you close the first couple of deals, you like over deliver, you make sure that you do more than $20 an hour worth of value, then you raise it to 25, right? Then you raise it to 30. I would say I would keep raising it by $5 per hour. Until I see within GigRater that my lead reply rate drops by like more than 1% after I've done the $5 per hour increment. Then I would go back, right? So it's like this balancing act. So like the market really determines the price, right? The market determines what you're worth. And the more social proof you have on your profile, the more you can charge. So yeah, I would just start very low, and for me to pay my bills, I would aim to over deliver, like do literally do the best job that anyone would do on Upwork, and then eventually just charge more and more and more. And then once I have so much work that I can't handle it myself, and maybe my time is better invested elsewhere, maybe it's in creating content, YouTube videos to upload onto the Upwork profile and to build a brand outside of Upwork, that's when I would hire a project manager, teach them everything I can do, and just aim to have that project manager complete all of the work while I'm focused on building the brand, right? So I think that's the other mistake a lot of people make. They try to hire too many people. They try to hire too many B or C players. Your best bet would be to hire one A player that can do everything that you can do, ideally even better. But you are focused on building the business now. So I think that's how I would handle that.
Thank you very much. Now,
Yeah.
one question just popped up in the chat from Dmitry. Do clients in general like to work without the Upwork time tracker, or do they usually easy can commit to work without it? DevOps backend development.
Oh yeah, some people, okay, DevOps backend development. Um, I'm not sure to be completely honest with you, Dmitry. Um, yeah, time tracker is very difficult, right? Especially if if you're not the person doing the work, time tracker gets very complicated because then your developers have to like track time, but you're putting the projects through your profile. It's a little bit complex. So the best like that's what clients want to prefer. Um, that's their preference. They want to see exactly how many hours you have put in. But ideally, that's not what you want to do, right? You want to just estimate how much this project will cost. Let's say you estimate like 10K, and um, and then you can charge hourly, or you can charge like the weekly retainer or whatever. But you just you need to get really good at estimating and essentially closing on the fact that, hey, there's not going to be any surprises. I'm not going to work for, 200 hours if the initial estimation was 100 hours, because I think that's actually what happens quite a bit. You meet with the freelancer, you as a client, you close for 20 per hour, you think it's going to be 100 hours, it ends up being quite a bit more. The client's overpaying just because there's some bug that it took the freelancer a long time to figure out. So I think if you kind of just like communicate that to the client, you can actually close on a fixed price project. You just estimate the 10K and maybe leave a little bit of a range, like maybe something will pop up and it'll take more time. But the way that I think makes the most sense is for the agencies that I work with, they have this like quote tool. So, for example, you're meeting with the client. Once you find out the entire context, the scope of the project, you can put all the information into your like quotation tool, and you see, okay, my backend cost to deliver this is $2,000. Let's say I am aiming for a 70 or 80% profit margin, right? In the best world. So I'm going to quote 10K for this, right? So it costs you 2K and then you charge 10K, right? Maybe you're employing developers in Eastern Europe that don't charge too much. So now you have to close for the 10K. And the reality is, even if it takes your developers like 50% more time, it's not going to matter much, right? If it costs you 3K on the backend versus 2K, because your profit margin is still healthy. So I would say always convert for the fixed price, not the hourly, because that just creates so much complexity down the road. Developers take more hours to deliver and so on, right? Someone else has to track the hours. You just do not want to be dealing with that. So that's what clients prefer initially, but you have to unsell them on that and sell them on fixed price, if that makes sense. Cool. We have the next question from Identics, Shahil. So Shahil says, currently daily 15 plus bidding on Upwork, but response ratio is very down. So how can I get better response? Profile was good and everything set by my side, but don't know where I made mistake. Can you help me out? Well, I would need to have a look at your profile. Maybe message me. Um, I can have a quick look. But yeah, usually if you're not getting response, then I mean the bottleneck is either in the actual profile, maybe your proposals aren't being shown to the right clients, that's why you're not getting a response, or maybe the bottleneck is in the cover letter. So it sounds like you're sending like 15 bids per day. Sounds like maybe you're doing it manually. If you're doing it with Grader, then you will be able, like numbers don't lie, the data doesn't lie. So you can do an A/B test, right? Send proposals with A test of the cover letter 3 days of the week and B test of the cover letter 4 days of the week. After, 1 week, you will see clear data, which proposals are being viewed more, which proposals are being viewed less. So after the week, you essentially turn off the A or the B version of the cover letter. You keep the higher performing one, and you launch an A/B test against that one, right? Now you try to like you keep optimizing it. Eventually, you'll have a cover letter that gets you the responses. I mean, if you just practice this enough, you're gonna kind of find the pitch that resonates with your target audience. And yeah, the only way you won't is if you kind of keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Yeah, but if your proposals just aren't being viewed, then it's likely your profile that is the issue, or the first sentence in your cover letter, right? So maybe also optimize for that. All right. And then No Man says, hey, I'm enjoying our conversation here. Thank you, No Man. And I wanted to ask you something. Let's say I'm new on Upwork with no earnings yet. When I send proposals, clients don't really seem to notice them. Maybe it's because my profile is new. What can I do to improve this and get more eyes on my proposals? Yeah, I mean, likely. So if your profile is new, I mean, what is your hourly rate, right? If your proposals really aren't being shown to clients, like try to lower the hourly rate by 5 and see if you're getting more responses that way. That would be one thing. And the second thing is like a similar answer to what I just gave to Shahil. You want to make sure that your profile is well optimized. So, I mean, I'll give you guys. let me see if I can share my screen real quick, show you how you can essentially find like related queries to put onto your profile. Give me one sec. I'm just going to log into my client profile because this is something that everyone can use. And this really makes a big difference in the Upwork algorithm. If you have the keywords that the Upwork algo like promotes. So let me quickly share my screen. Alrighty. Cool. So you guys should be able to see my screen here. And let's say you're doing Shopify. You look for a Shopify developer. Cool. So now we're seeing these results. So this first guy is boosted, the second guy is not boosted, right? So he's like the top Shopify developer. Um, so what you want to do is you want to go into inspect and then you go into sources, or actually you go into network, okay? Once you're in network, you refresh the page, okay? And then you do this query. What's this query? I just copy it and I'll put it here. It's use of backward slash FS related queries, okay? And then you just run that and you click here. And now you see these are the keywords that Upwork pushes for the query Shopify developer. Developer. Whoopsie. But yeah, look at that. It even so it's funny. I misspelled it, but it still finds these kind of queries. But so what you want to do is you want to have Shopify developer, maybe even somewhere on your profile you can put Shopify developer, right? You like misspell it a little bit. And then you also want to have these queries. Front end developer, Shopify API, Shopify developer. And then you do the same thing for Shopify API. So you run that search and then you refresh the page and then you do UFS related query search again. Now it's Shopify API, and these are the keywords that you want to have on your general profile. API integration, PHP, WooCommerce plugin, and brand naming. So this is like the Upwork algorithm telling you what is related to Shopify API. So when the client searches for Shopify API, the people that show up near the top are the ones that have some of these related queries. So you can do that, and that's how you can optimize your profile. And the other thing is you can just max out your profile with skills, relevant skills. So you can look also ideally from like the client profile, you look for whatever the keyword is that is relevant to what you want to do, and you look at the top profiles, what kind of skills do they have on their profile, and you add it to like a spreadsheet, and then you make sure you go ahead and literally max out your specialized profile with all of those skills. You can also use just GigRater Analytics a little bit easier if you have the GigRater subscription, but if you just optimize your profile in that way and combine it with proper like storytelling, kind of a selling copy of, why people should kind of respond to you, then you will be getting responses. Hope that helps. Cool. We have okay, so Shahil says he's going to do A/B testing. Yeah, man, that's perfect. A/B testing is really the name of the game. And now Tyler says, as you all know, I can't list everything I can do on my Upwork profile. Is it okay to apply for jobs which require the skills I didn't list on my profile, but I can fulfill? So specialized profiles don't have a skill limit. So if, yeah, you can literally add any skill, right? That's why it makes sense to just max out skills on the specialized profiles. And also, if you add portfolio cases, you can add like dozens of portfolio cases. Um, if you've done, this type of job before, let's say that is not necessarily explicitly listed on your profile, but you have a portfolio case with the related keywords to that job, related skills to that job, and actual like related queries, as I just showed on with the Shopify API example, then you're gonna rank regardless. But Yes, I mean, for the actual profile, it's good to kind of be a little bit niche focused. Like, let's say you do Shopify, you do Klaviyo for Shopify stores. You're gonna get a lot more responses. But if you're bidding on like an Omnisend project, right? You also know Omnisend, but you're prioritizing for Klaviyo, that's fine because it's still relevant and you're still going to rank high because Omnisend will be related to email marketing, and your recent jobs are probably going to include some email marketing if you're a Klaviyo expert. You know what I mean? So yes, you can 100% apply to jobs that you don't seem to be like the perfect fit for. But skills-wise, just try to add as many skills as you can to the specialized profile. General profile has 15 skill limit, specialized profiles don't. Cool. Now, Rohan says, hey Vlad, what is the good number of follow-up messages to send before sending the cutoff message? 4, with the cutoff message being the number 5. And then the second question, what would be the ideal message sequence, meaning how each follow-up message should be different from each other? Can you give us some practical examples? Can you please send that text here? Yeah, I actually I have the entire presentation prepared for follow-ups that I run for like new members of GigRadar, like onboarding groups. So yeah, I'll send it to you. I'm just gonna open it and see how I can help you right now because it's like a very long mastering follow-up session. Maybe I'll just drop it into the like general chat afterwards. I'll send it to Coraline and she can send it to you because yeah, let me share my screen again. This is this is the uh this is the training. So there's like follow-ups before you get onto the call. There's like mindset, what follow-up is, and then there's like the follow-up examples, common mistakes for developers. So there's yeah, follow-ups to book the call, follow-ups after the call, and then there's the monthly nurture if you happen to not close, right? And then so the 4-step follow-up. So there's like the value reminder, the curiosity hook, the social proof plus call, and then like the soft exit. I mean, yeah, soft exit here is the number 4. I think it should really be the number 5. Cool. So anyway, I'll send it your way afterwards. All right. And then Rohan says, I don't think I missed anything. Yeah. Rohan says, if it can be shared on Slack, then that would be ideal. Okay, excellent. Yeah, we'll share that on Slack. Um, Also, can you please share that UF, that string to get more relevant keywords on Upwork? Yeah. So I actually learned that from Tamara's blog post. If you guys are probably familiar with Tamara, right? You can just go on Levitt tips, Levitt.tips, and then read her blog. I think it should be like the Bible for Upwork optimization. She posts so much value. And yeah, it's like ridiculous. So if you just go here into the search button and you put UFS, I believe, UF. Goddamn, I don't know, guys. I found it somewhere here. I think what was put related query. Okay, whatever. I'll send it to yeah, I'll send it to Slack afterwards. But I learned that specific thing on Tamara's blog, and yeah, I recommend you read it. You can if you subscribe, join through an actual account, then you'll have some blog posts that are not open to the public, only to the subscribers, and it's all free. It's like really good info. Tamara always checks the Upwork algorithm and kind of posts updates. So.
Thank you very much, Vlad. Huge thanks to Vlad for sharing so much value today. Honestly, every time we have Vlad here, it feels like a little masterclass. So I really enjoyed the session, and I'm pretty sure that yeah, I can see here. Yeah, we're all enjoyed the session. Great. Thank you very much. And thank you
Awesome.
guys for joining and asking questions, being active. Yeah, we had pretty very good time here.
Guys, thanks so much for joining, asking great questions. Yeah, I wish all of you huge success on Upwork. I'm sure you can kill it. Just it's all about just taking the right steps, doing the right thing. You guys are all learning, investing into your business that way. So yeah, that can go a long way. So best of luck, and feel free to just message me directly on Slack if you need help with anything.
And if you guys somehow didn't get your question answered, then feel free to drop them into the Upwork Talks chat or maybe help channel on our Slack community. So yeah, and we'll make sure it doesn't get lost. So, and the recording will be uploaded soon, and we'll also share some takeaways from the session and that follow-up text messages. Yeah, okay. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you again, Vlad, for the session, and have a great rest of the week. And see you at the next event. Thank you very much. Bye.